So far we have programmed the computer to keep track of the number of students. Now say we want the computer to show us how many students are on the bus. We know it's stored inside this variable called students count here. But how do we tell the computer to show its value? Remember that the println instruction that we learned earlier? That's exactly what we need here. However, this time we want it to show us the value inside that variable. To do that, we should type in the word student count but without quotation marks. Remember that quotation marks are used when we want to display a message or a word as it is. But here we don't want it to display the word student count itself. Instead, we want to see the value stored inside that variable. So when we type in something inside those parentheses without the quotation marks, Java automatically assumes that this is a variable and starts looking for the value stored inside that variable and displays it because this is the println statement, which means if we run this program here, we get this print output 6, which happens to be the value of our variable student count here. Let's trace this program step by step and see why the variable student count ended up with 6 inside. This statement here is declaring this variable of the type integer, which is basically creating this empty box that we can store integer variables in it. The second statement is initializing it to 0, which is basically adding number 0 inside the variable. Then the next statement is updating the variable student count by adding 5 to its old value. Its old value happens to be 0, so when we add 5 to 0 and update it, it becomes 5. And then the following statement here is subtracting 3 from the old value, which is 5, and updating student count to this result of the subtraction. So we subtract 3 from 5, making it 2, and student count becomes 2. And then finally, this statement here is subtracting 1 and adding 5 to the old value of student count, which is 2 now. So when we subtract 1, it becomes 1, and then we add 5, student count becomes 6. By the time we reach this final statement here, our variable student count will have 6 in it, and we will print it out. So the output what we get is 6 in the end.